Hello everyone, my name is NAMJUNG Kim. I'm going to present about Tuskegee study. First, there are contents I'm going to tell in order. First, the background of the Tuskegee study of syphilis and its significance. Second one, the ethical and legal issues regarding the study. Third, the impact the study has had on society and on healthcare professions. Fourth, specific example of legal and ethical principles used to mitigate risks. Fifth, recommend ways healthcare professions can avoid similar issues. Okay, well, let's see the background of the Tuskegee study. The Tuskegee experiment was a non-therapy syphilis observation experiment. It was conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service for 40 years from 1932 to 1972. 600 African American men from Macon County, Alabama, were participated in this experiment. Participants had to do blood tests, X-ray, spinal taps, and autopsy of the subject related to the study. If we look at the historical background that allowed the Tuskegee research to begin, in 1865, the enslavement of blacks was officially ended, but until the early 20th century, American culture and medical landscape was still littered with racist notions. Social Darwinism was rising, predicated on the survival of the fittest, and the scientific racism was common. In the late 19th, early 20th centuries, people had harmful pseudo-scientific ideas, specifically about the sex drives and genitals of African Americans. Black people are more prone to sexually transmitted disease. Thus, the USPSS estimated that 35% of its population was infected with syphilis in Macon County and set their study. Next, what is the importance of Tuskegee study? This study was an experiment to investigate the symptoms and complications experienced by syphilis patients. However, the health service did not provide them with accurate information on the purpose of the experiment or whether they were infected for 40 years and did not provide appropriate treatment. Research was started in 1932 with the aim of treating bad blood for free in relation to anemia or syphilis and fatigue. They were also told the treatment would last only 6 months, but the participants underwent physical examination, X-ray, long-term spinal tapping, and autopsy when they died. In addition, the fact that the subject was a poor black person revealed the racism of the experiment. Despite the development of penicillin, a special drug, but no treatment was provided and non-treatment observations were conducted for 40 years. Next, let's discuss what is the ethic and legal issues regarding the study. The Tuskegee experiment started because of the racial prejudice that prevailed in the early 20th century and the discrimination against the black and white-oriented scientific medicine. It was tragic. And the Tuskegee study, among other things, need to be treated as an important event that will shed light on the national significance of race as an experiment promoted by the Public Health Service in the name of their country. When penicillin was available as a treatment, researchers should have treated the patients and not put them on hold for non-treatment purposes. Before the study began, the study did not start without accurate explanation or consent from the patient. This was not an informed consent and should not have started. It was obviously racism. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. What is the impact of research on society? A national committee was established to protect the subject of study in biomedical and behavioral studies to prepare better regulations to protect clinical trial subjects. It provides a systematic review of human studies in 1960. Really, this norm created the system of today's institutional review boards, IRBs. In 1974, the National Research Act initiated the study of biomedical and behavioral studies and strengthened policy. In 1979, the Belmont Report was published. The Belmont Report established the three basic ethical principles: human respect, good conduct, and justice, which underlie all clinical research as a result of implementing our Helsinki Declaration in the United States. Respect for people, respecting the autonomy of competent people, protect them, harm principle, and maximize possible benefits and minimize possible harm. Okay, let's take a look at how Tuskegee research has affected healthcare professions. In the United States, almost all studies targeting humans must be approved by the IRB. The main function of IRB is to ensure that researchers comply with legal and institutional standards. In accordance with FDA regulations, the Agency Review Board is a group created to protect the right and welfare of the human research insured. Officially review and monitor biometric research related to human subjects. Under FDA regulations, the IRB is authorized not to approve acquired modification or approved research. Let's go to next slide. The following slides are specific examples of legal and ethical principles used to mitigate risks. Guatemala STD experiment was to improve the ability of American soldiers to prevent STD during Second World War. Researchers wanted to study the effect of penicillin. Between 1946 and 1948, about 5,500 Guatemalans were infected by STDs. About 1,300 of them were intentionally infected with syphilis, gonorrhea, or another venereal disease, or chancroid. Only 700 of them received a certain treatment. According to data surveyed by the committee, at least 83 of the 5,500 subjects had died by the end of the 1953 after exposure to STD, only about half of the subjects received any forms of treatment for the infection. There is no record of obtaining consent from the participants, and there is evidence that some were actually deceived. In addition, 83 subjects died during the experiment, although the link between deaths and participation in the experiment was unclear. In the last slide, consider how healthcare professions can avoid similar problems. Before we start research, we should start research by cooperation with each other, by starting respect for other races. Trust building should be strengthened by inducing open dialogue. Recall their exact purpose and fact about ethical research and state them to the participants. It should also provide candid explanation for research and initiatives specifically targeting minorities or ethnic sites. The last one, those are the references I've found to the Tuskegee research. Thank you for listening.